record here. I really want to capture everything that each of you are able to give us today on this evaluation call. Um, and thank you all for being here, and thank you all for having been part of this sprint. I've seen all of your faces throughout this sprint, before and during and after, at all times, at day and night, and all of that. I really appreciate all the support that you and the whole community has been providing around this activity. So, and there's actually way too many names to actually thank everybody by name. Uh, um, Actually, I noted 444 different people that in some kind of role has been part of this, and some maybe just for 20 minutes and some for the whole sprint, so it's been a pretty big activity, with lots of calls and lots of hours spent, and many of you have actually been spending those hours. So thank you all for going through this. I hope it's been worth it. We'll hear from each of you in this call. And I just wanted especially to call out a few names here who have been either a disruptor, a coach, or a panel member, or in some other capacity, really been playing a key role in this sprint. And without you, we couldn't have done this. And we certainly couldn't have done it entirely free of charge, which I find to be important. As a community building activity, as an educational kind of activity, as an ideation activity, and a supportive activity, right? So Fabian, Karina, Sanjay, Jamil, Crystal, Aaron, Sahar, Prashan, Jabin, Gabriel, Curtis, Klaus, Michael, Nick, Erwin, and Soledad. Right? And thank you all. And thank you to everybody else. And I know also Carmen at some point actually has also taken over some coach role. I thank you, Carmen, for that as well. And everybody else have been coaching each other as well. So thank you, everybody. And that is the last slide I'm going to show you on this call. So you can relax. And now we're going into the real deal here, which is I have about 20 questions lined up that I'm very keen to ask you. And I'm sure you have questions as well, and I'm keen to hear those. So let's keep it an interactive, engaging conversation. Just raise your voice whenever you feel like it, contribute when you feel like it. I would like, however, also if you can write your personal answer to my questions in the chat. That would help me to capture your feedback, your thoughts. And the only thing I'm asking really is please be brutally honest in your answer. That is the only way we can make this better next time, right? If you want to answer short, fine. If you want to write a novel, fine. Whatever you feel like, great, right? So with that, I would like to kind of kick off with some of my questions. And as I said, feel free to speak up and stop me and add and contribute and whatever you feel like. Let's keep this an engaging session of value to everybody. And for sure, I know it's going to be a ton of value for me, as I want to learn how we can do this better next time. So the first thing I just wanted to say is I want to mention, I think the date is 7th of January, when the whole COVID-19 came on everybody's lips. And on the 20th, we kicked off this sprint. So we have really been going through this entirely during the COVID-19 pandemic thing. And we had something like 6 teams on the start line, and we had 4 teams pitching at the end. And that blew my mind that we actually had 4 teams that went through the whole sprint. And I know that the teams have been working. I think mostly every day for 10 weeks, but at least many days every week for 10 weeks, right? That is simply incredible. And that just shows me that everybody finds the agenda of the future of education to be important, and this is what we are here to work on, right? A better future for education. And I personally think that is where we find the answers to the nightmares that we are living right now in the world around us. But that's a longer story for another day. So we've been running this 10-week sprint for a number of reasons. The first one is it's a community building activity. It's a way for us to get to know each other, and both of that is super important for me, and I know it is for uh, everybody in the community. It's also a way we can really ideate around what should the future of education look like, right? Just throw some ideas in the air, at least, if nothing else, and maybe help us get some indications on which direction we should take education in, and in where we should focus more energy and more activities after this sprint. Also, we could probably develop some specific initiative that we can work on as a community, or at least spin off if somebody wants to do that. It's also a place for everybody out there who really needs a tribe to belong to, when you need somebody that feels very um, strongly about this agenda. So this is the welcoming tribe, right, for everybody who is interested in this agenda. And we just love sprints as well, so that's reason enough to do it, I think, even just that. And I think there's an educational role in this. We can educate each other on how do we best transform, how do we best crack the code, how do we best create new value, right? New ideas, learn together. um, and also, this has also been kind of a kickoff to start onboarding families, and literally families who are early adopters of new solutions. They are open to try new things and new ways of learning, new ways of getting educated. And that is going on as we speak, with about 700 families actually joining Educate for Life, which is going to be an amazing addition to who we already are, and that will allow many of us to actually run experiments and try new ideas very quickly. And so all that for me is great. So that's really the context around the sprint here. Then I want to start diving into some specific questions. I'll go uh, right into the meat here. So the first, I actually begin with the most boring question, just to get it over with. so, and I need to share my screen to do that, because it's really about the assignment descriptions and the user interface that we have chosen to use to give the sprint teams their assignments. I want to take some feedback from you, and maybe you haven't really been in here. Some of you have, and some of you have not. But we have been delivering the weekly assignment descriptions using the Mighty Networks platform, and that has a course section. And in here, you actually find all the weekly sprint assignments, and there are some additional supporting content, some video material, and other stuff in there. And so this is maybe most relevant, this question, for those of you who have actually been using this part of our community platform. What do you think about this way of getting your weekly assignment descriptions? Has it been, did it work? Was it clear? How were the assignments? How was this platform in terms of using it? Any thoughts on that?
Lars,
Yes.
um, when I was using it, it got the job done. I think it's, you know, I went there and I needed to find certain things. It wasn't that easy to find things. It's not, I think it could be clearer and maybe organized a bit differently. I can't see this very well right now, so I can't
Yeah,
give you any specific ideas, but just even
yeah,
things like we have to go to the section called courses to see the sprint assignments. You know, just
yeah.
even the courses and the sprint assignments, the little, many things like that make it and end up being a little bit confusing and not intuitive. Which
Right.
is not to say that don't use the platform, but maybe there are some, how much customization does Mighty Networks have
Right. Yep.
to do that?
Yep. Yep. There's not much customization that can be done there, but
So
it's
this is how
very much.
their courses work. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's pretty locked in as it is. Yeah. We could use. I mean, we could build a page on the website, which then we have free design possibilities, right? We can pretty much design it any way we like. That's an option.
Yeah. But I think, you know, it's important also not to lose the benefit of having a course section, which may be good for Educate for Life anyway. But maybe you do the sprint assignments and
Yeah.
uploading the
Yep.
assignments, etc., somewhere else.
Yeah. It is a little bit tricky to use. Yeah. Any other experiences or thoughts from anyone?
I could just compare it to my use of the platform at OpenExo.
Yep.
I'd say it's at least as good, in some ways better than that, for keeping the content week by week right in front of the teams. As a coach, I could say, hey folks, we're in week 2. This
Yep.
is all about Ideate or whatever, and we can go right into it. So it was just as practical from that point of view as the OpenExo platform is. So bravo for customizing Mighty Networks to lift that same load. I think you've done fine. I think Jabin's correct. You can do some UX refactoring
Yeah.
if possible, but
Yeah.
it's manageable. It's workable. I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Yeah, and Lars, I would say, just adding to what Curtis is saying, it reminded me of when EXO Lever used to have the EXO sprint assignments and all that available to the teams. That worked relatively well. On
Yeah.
OpenEXO, that doesn't work anymore. It's very broken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You're
So
doing better than that, whatever that
yeah,
means. Yeah.
Mighty Networks is definitely better, but I think there are
Yeah.
some things that we would need for them to customize for
Yeah. Yeah.
what we wanted EXO to be.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and the topical threading, the conversation, it's much more Slack-like, which I like, and the threading conversations in the platform on OpenExo, not good at all. So I think this did very well when you would post a topic and say, what'd be the first thing you would want to bring as a conversation to, people
Yeah.
were just chiming in stuff, and it was very easy to read all that. Lovely. I love the way they do the topic threading. So keep that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Lars, are you looking for other feedback on the platform or just a course section right now, or can we give you other?
Just it was mainly the course section, but if you have some immediate thoughts, then I'm more than happy to hear them now. Yes.
For those who are not savvy or are already on other platforms, to navigate this has been complicated. So for instance, Claire Stead, who joined partway through, she kind of gave up because she couldn't make her way through it. And I didn't have the time and bandwidth to be able to support her in that way either. And me as well, right at the very, very beginning, was to navigate all of this and the various platforms that come alongside this. I already have my whole group and I best serve my artists in the platforms they work in. I was too divided. So it just was a little slow, and I probably needed somebody right at my elbow all the way along the way, step by step.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So narrowing those down, and it's really to my point that it's a very busy world out there, very noisy world.
Yeah,
There are
it
a
is.
lot of options, and to try to narrow that down
Yeah,
I think is important to do.
certainly is.
L-
Lots of tools and platforms we use every day. Yeah.
Mhm.
Javi?
Totally. Yeah. I will focus my comments first of all on the content. I believe the content was very good for the assignments. I have to say I don't love the platform. You
Yep.
know, I what helped a lot is that those assignments came into the email because you know for several weeks in the beginning I tried to be on the platform. You know,
Yeah.
but I don't know why. Uh, for week 3, I believe when we stopped being encouraged to share among the groups, among the different groups, our discoveries and all that. I believe I didn't I had nothing else to go for to the platform. You know, the content for the assignments was very good. I think it helped a lot. The platform, it at the very beginning, it was like, you know, it's so different. So, for example, here the yeah, it has the thread functionality, but it's like too narrow the posts. I don't know why. You know, there's a full screen like this. The posts are like this. You know, and I don't know. I have to say I find difficult also to find several things, but maybe it's because I'm not being using it too much. It's good enough, but maybe for next time that that community, you know, collaboration from group to group could be enhanced, could be encouraged on a weekly basis, so that conversations are being there.
Excellent. That's very useful. Very helpful. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Javi. Thank you. All
Lars, I have
right.
a quick comment to add
Yeah.
about the courses. I, I was, as an advisor, I was sometimes looking for where did the team post their assignments, and I had to go and find that the posts that were tagged articles for community review. And
Yeah.
then when I went there were I still had to search for the team's assignments because other people had been
Yeah.
posting articles for the community to
Yeah.
read. And
Yes.
so it became a little bit
Yeah.
difficult to find what
Yeah.
I was looking for there.
Yes. It does easily drown. That's also one of my takeaways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there needs to be, I think, a very clear box where all the assignments go.
Yes. Yeah.
Something.
That's great. Perfect. That's very helpful. It makes it easy for me to make some decisions on for next time. Actually, so that's great. Thank you. I so I wanna jump to the next question in the interest of time. This was just the first of 20 questions, and time is running, but this was very useful. So. The next one is about Zoom. So we are all very familiar with Zoom. Is Zoom a good tool for our video calls and our community sessions?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, it is. It's
Yeah.
simple and it's good.
yeah, okay. We've also had a vote at some point during the sprint, and Zoom was favored by most. So yeah, okay. So we'll stick with Zoom, and I personally also find it actually better than all the other different platforms we all use every single day. And some are a nightmare to use, but Zoom is pretty seamless and easy and convenient. So cool. We'll stay with Zoom. Then we've been running a number of different community sessions. Typically, they're about 60 minutes, where we, let me see if I can find one here, where we've been inviting one or more of our community friends to talk on a certain topic. Could be, for example, here about this was Claire speaking about Uliki and her journey on building an app. And we had different topics discussed in these 60-minute sessions. Have they been useful? And should we continue to run these sessions?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very
Okay.
insightful.
Yes, they were amazing.
Yeah. Because of the people who did them, yeah, who joined and were
There were
speaking.
some amazing conversations. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I love them as well. I just wanted to take the temperature here and hear your thoughts.
Mhm.
So please let me know if somebody doesn't feel this way, and your voice will be heard. Okay, so that sounds like we'll be doing a lot more of those sessions as well. I'm very happy about that. Then I want to talk a little bit about some experimentation we have done with the sprint and the sprint format and the way we run sprints. We never run exactly the same sprint the same time. And so we do, of course, want to test new ways of working and new ways of running sprints. And one thing we have done this time, and we did it a bit similar last time, was a very loose team formation in the beginning of the sprint or before the sprint. So um, we simply posted the different themes, and then people could on their own find their way to the topic they like the most, and then get a feeling of who's in that group and see should we do a group together. So it's a very loose way of doing this. It's a very casual, informal, and definitely unstructured and unsupervised way of doing team formation. Um, as opposed to that, it could have been totally, you sign up and we find out what's the best team for you and put you in the team, right? That would be in almost the opposite way of doing things. What's your take on this? What worked this way and what didn't work so well?
I think it's good.
Honestly, I cannot imagine signing up and being assigned to a team. We are here to revolutionize education, to be empowered, right? So if you chose the other I'm sorry for the
No problem.
trying to contribute. So if you were to assign us, it would kind of log the, we have to practice what we preach, right? It would be the traditional system. So this is something that worked for me so well last year, and therefore I just signed in today, and I'll continue signing in to your Educate for Life till the end of the world.
Thank you, Justina. Thank you. Tibin?
Lars, yeah, I think self-organizing teams are a lot better as well. In terms of how it worked here, I was happy. Like it's good to be able to see what other teams exist and see what the possibilities are. It'd be good to have a little description or maybe a team video or something about what the team is about that's readily accessible, so that you can have a good flavor of what's going on. Because otherwise, you don't really know. And then also, I was wondering, well, are these teams actually looking for new people to join, or are they not? Or how do I just, if I have a team and we wanted to go through this together, can I just hit a plus sign and create a new team? How does, and what do I fill out to do that?
Definitely, that transparency is what's missing. Also, I think it is hard. Also, a little bit hard to see who's in the team. You actually need to join the group before you can see who's in the group, and you don't know beforehand. And so you get into the group, and then you need to figure out: do we want to play together? Is this
Yeah, do I speak Spanish? Or
do I speak Russian? Do I speak whatever? And I'm yeah, and then and a few have actually contacted me and say, I really know that I shouldn't be in this group. How, and I don't feel well about saying it to the team. Could you help me? And I help some people to get out of the group, right? And so yeah, I think that approach can be improved in terms of making it very transparent who's in the group before you join, and if we can even get the group to make a little video or description, that would be also very helpful.
I actually, Javi and Deanna and I were talking about this about an hour ago because we were also reviewing how the team went. And we struggled, I have to say. We were all very focused on each of the members were focused on their own initiatives. There was very little mixing. And to me, I think a lot of that was also how the team was kind of formulated in the beginning. Because we didn't really have a coach to kind of guide things through. So we all kind of went in there, and we're all members, right? We are all from different time zones. None of us spoke English as a first language. And I thought that, in fact, that team, we're all great. I mean, it's like no hard feelings or anything, but we just couldn't gel as a team. And that somehow the chemistry was missing. And we couldn't find the cement, to get us together and hold the wall up. So I did feel that there's something about the way the team was developed. We all, of course, we're looking at lifelong education and SMEs, but the thing was, we all had a different idea about what we wanted, what it should be. And that wasn't shared until I think after the third week or the second week. And by that time, everybody was just kind of clinging on to what they wanted to do. So yeah, it was quite a struggle. And I felt that maybe a clearer guidance, because lifelong education could be such a big topic. If there were more discussions in the beginning about guiding the team in terms of like, do you guys really see eye to eye on things? Do you actually have the same, I wouldn't say that we didn't see eye to eye. We did see eye to eye on a lot of things, but it's like what really we were passionate about was different. And I think that was the big problem.
I want to contribute on top of that. I strongly agree on the purpose thing. It was very, very broad, and now I'm coaching teams with the EXO Launchpad methodology, and there's something that has been key for it, and it's building the team. There's this team canvas, and it really makes miracles. I don't know if the teams are struggling too, but it's like you have a tool to put in common rules, goals, and all that, and it can work as a live document. And I would strongly encourage the teams in next sprints to have a retrospective session. I don't know if each week, but I believe team must be built and must be cared before the initiatives,
Getting to know it's really getting to know one another, and sort of what your capabilities are and what your strengths and your passions are, so you can find that common place and a team that brings all the different aspects to it that are necessary to be able to launch a project or initiative or a concept. That was really challenging for me to navigate. So we sort of jumped right into it, and I was still trying to figure out who was who. Yeah. And I for myself, I had my own challenges, like behind the scenes, as it turned out. So even though I wasn't able to participate directly here, there were incredible sprints going on behind the scenes, like I've never seen before. So it's pretty extraordinary. And one day I'll be able to share more, but not for this conversation right now.
That sounds good.
Yeah, like I agree with what Javier and Carmen said. We needed the coach, and around week 4, like I even didn't keep track of the assignments. So it was hard to keep track of the assignments, and we were stuck on our own initiatives. Like, I think maybe we should have a split where someone goes with Javier's and someone goes with mine at this point, because each one of us was doing his own thing. So that could be another idea, like start with a big team and then they split according to the nation.
Thank you. Also a very good point there, Yara. So, and these are things are great. And Ravi, yeah, you mentioned Team Canvas. If you have a link or something you can share in the chat, Ravi, to a resource that could be super useful. And
Sure.
I totally agree. I think actually it would do miracles if we do some more team formation or bonding in the beginning, get to know each other, and if we are aligned on purpose or and these things, and then you can still, you know, shift to another team if that's what you like, or attract even more team members if that's what you prefer before the sprint begins. I think that's going to be great. Great. So that brings me to the next question, which I think is the natural next question to ask, and it's related to the coaches. So this time around, and you saw when we started the call the many names of coaches and disruptors and others who have been playing a key role. And if you didn't join in the beginning of the call, watch the recording. I've been thanking so many of you by name also. And so this is another experiment that actually I've been running in this sprint. That is about how do we allocate coaches, or rather not allocate coaches. And this time around, we simply made a pool of coaches available to the sprint teams. And I've been encouraging the teams on a couple of occasions to actually connect with a coach and get some coaching. And I'm keen to hear about what's the value that you have been getting out of working with one of our coaches. Maybe one of you are coaches, but if you have been in a team, what value did you get out of working with one of the coaches? What would you do differently next time? Would you work more with the coach? Would you work less with the coach? How did that work out for you? Any thoughts from anyone?
As I am a very liberal person, I would be very happy to have a pool of descriptions of like what the coach represents, what kind of what area, right, or interest, and simply to be able to, for the groups to pick a coach for the group. I think that would allow also, perhaps it would also act as a team building exercise to align around you know, we could express what are the what are the interests that we have, like Carmen was saying, that if that was brought up in the beginning, so this exercise, this could act as an exercise there. Definitely I can already see a risk of you know, having this competition or election and having too many teams interested in some coaches while others remaining without assignments. But if there's a well thought process for giving freedom here, this is just an idea that springs to my mind right now, so it's not well thought through, but it's simply like yeah, my intuition that if there was freedom here as well, maybe it would be worth trying.
Yep. Definitely. Thank you, Justina. Other thoughts?
I can speak, but okay. Well, you know, I don't know if I was biased because I knew about EXO Sprint. I had been certified as an EXO coach, and things here played out differently. At the very beginning, I thought we were going to be assigned a coach for the team, and this coach would play the coach role as it was, you know.
Yeah.
And I believe there was not. You just said that there was a pool of coaches that um, were they were available to us, but I kept on waiting to our assigned coach. I don't know if I missed that suggestion that we could go and talk directly to them. I just kept waiting, and someday we realized it was not coming, you know. So
Yeah.
maybe it was
Yeah.
maybe it was a lack of clarity there. Maybe it was me. I didn't get it, you know. But I believe we could have we lacked direction, you know, a lot, and we our team, we diverged a lot because we didn't know where to head, especially in the second half of the sprint. I believe a coach would have helped us a lot. It is true we had a coach, Fabian joined. It was Fabian, yes, I think so.
Yeah.
He joined once, and he was open to come more times. I don't know what happened, but you know, I think it would have helped a lot. I believe maybe if it has to be like that, maybe I don't know. Next time, mm, teams should know really well. Okay, you can come here and ask for questions. They are open for everything, or even open a section for questions, or an advisor you know, section in the community that could help. So
Yeah.
that's my opinion on that. I didn't know it, you know. So
I also want to talk about, like, you taught us the XO methodology. I'm not well versed as much as Carmen and Javier, but I did feel that sometimes the whole point was disrupting an idea. And when you continually want to disrupt an idea and make it again, you achieve nothing at the end. Sometimes you have to go with what works on the level that you're at, in the country that you're at, and then it grows exponential. But you have to rely on what you have before you continually disrupt ideas. So the best thing that works, I think, is what you have and what's accessible. What I really liked is Carmen disrupted my initial idea so that I could do a really realistic idea where I have access to. And this is what works in the end. Like, the objective is not to disrupt just to disrupt, but to really get something concrete out of it.
Definitely something implementable. Otherwise, there's no point in it. Yeah. It is easier if we know what problem we want to solve, right? And if we are even already in the process of trying to solve it, I think the sprint will be a lot easier to get into. It will make sense how we can take advantage of it. If we come into the sprint not knowing what this is about and why we're doing it, then it can still be a good learning opportunity, but it can also be a little bit of a weird experience, I'm sure. Yeah. All right. As I said, this was an experiment to find out, is a pool of coaches better or worse than a dedicated coach, right? Um, it was announced many times that we have the pool of coaches, please reach out, but it was not communicated that you would not get your own coach. That's so maybe we could do that way. I'm I keep kind of validating that also in other sprints, that it seems like a team needs to have a dedicated named coach from the beginning. Everybody just responds better to that, and it's easier to deal with. It's like, and we can still do the matchmaking to get the right coach for the right team and all that, but um, I think that needs to be sorted out from the beginning rather than a pool of coaches. And it's also human nature, I think, to try to solve things on our own rather than, reach out for help. So it's kind of, I think, one of my conclusions. I think it is best to have a named coach for each team from the very beginning. It's more straightforward. It's easier to deal with.
And for
I
that
would
coach,
agree with that, Lars, because mind you, at the sprints, there are a lot of people who are actually really not familiar with the Excel process.
Yeah.
They're not familiar with the attributes, and somebody has to take that role of, guiding and helping and supporting. And it's not fair for, different, like team members. Of course, we all can do it, and Javi tried and I tried, but sometimes your call is only 1 hour, and somebody has to go off for lunch after that, and somebody just got out from bread, because of the time zones and everything.
Yes.
So we never got enough time basically to do things without a proper, well, in fact, I think in fact for each team, I think a lot of teams also are not familiar with setting up their own team, so each team member really needs to have a role. And I tried to do a little bit of that, I think, towards about week 8, but that was way too late, to do that, to actually have people understand, a little bit, like I like to follow, or I like to guide, or I like to analyze, or, and things like that. So the team roles, who takes care of what, and having a coach, I think those are the basic structures. In particular, because with these sprints, we're getting a lot of people who just don't know the process. A lot of people have never even done a sprint before.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, and I think very much also on the team formation part that we discussed earlier, the people finding a good team for themselves. In that process, the coach should be there already. I think,
Noticing.
right, or at least be available. Is this an ant farm, or does this seem to be a structured conversation already? What's going on here? And help a bit in that process. It might be that we have a particular theme for each team before there are any team members, and then there is already a coach for each theme, and then participants start to sign up and join the team, and then the team figures out, but is this the right team constellation? Is this team for me, or is it not? And these things. It's probably a much better structure.
I've fulfilled many different roles, and it took me quite a while to figure out how to fit in, and where, and how, and I can fit in on different levels. So it just wasn't really clear how things were being structured. So I actually, in a lot of respects, found it rather frustrating. It was exciting, but it was also frustrating. And then when something was set up, or a team was set up, and I felt that I could contribute something that someone else couldn't, then for whatever reason I wasn't let into group, or I was basically booted out of one. And that didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So the Malaysia group, for instance, their education system is very desk and book memorization. Well, I come from the creative world, so I wanted to help bring some of the insights to it, and just listen to what they were doing, and then help them to sort of shift things, not to coach them, but to be a part of in the development of it, just to contribute. And I couldn't do that. There was some kind of misunderstanding about my role in that. And so I just step out. I step out and I step away. There's far too many things that the attention that we need to put on these days. So it's not worth it. So I would, however we restructure that, I would greatly appreciate some clarification. Because I can lead it, I can be in the middle of it, I can step in and out of it. I'm not just music. my training is in is education and therapy and like all sorts of things. So yeah. I'd like to have a better opportunity to contribute and make a difference.
Oh, I've seen you contributing all over the place during the whole sprint. That's been wonderful.
Oh, good.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God, yeah. But and and I also know that all the teams, as we all do, there's a lot going on in addition to the sprint, and with the whole COVID-19 and work from home and life getting disrupted, it's not been easy to go through this sprint at all for the teams, and there's a lot going on, and new posts from last coming out, and assignments, and people
Yeah.
knocking on the door, and it's like
Yeah. Well, there definitely is a lot of content, a lot of learning. I don't mind. I love it, but it also doesn't pay the bills for me to be like a part of this community. And that's one thing I do want to set up. And we're talking about in EXO World Canada.
Yep.
Is setting up some kind of scholarship, some kind of thing to bring the experts, to the table, and there's value in the numbers there, not
it's a
the free
commercial
service.
setup. We are not a commercial setup here. We're a community, but the extra world is more a commercial setup, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
sounds like a good direction for that.
Yeah. I don't know if you could set this up more like a nonprofit type of concept, or something that is that moves from a small token amount to bring people or the coaches, but also in the new payment systems. So depending on how and the world goes, we can be on the cutting edge of of that moving forward.
Definitely. That would, I think, assume that we actually charge somebody for something before we can allocate that to somebody else. Right now, we're not charging anyone, and everybody have been generously giving their time to the community, right? Which is something that I find to be important. But yeah. Excellent. Thank you very much for the input and the thoughts. That's also very helpful. Great. So we've talked about team formation and those exciting hours and the challenging hours and all that. That's all part of the package. We've talked about the awesome coaches and I think they've been underutilized. And that's definitely a lesson learned from this experiment. I think we can get so much more value out of coaching in general. So let's do that next time.
Lars, if you do decide to have an assigned coach to each team, maybe you could still make a pool of advisors available.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. Yeah. It can also be an extra pool of coaches because also coaches sometimes run out of time or have challenging situations that so they need to step out of the sprint, and we have had that in the sprint as well, of course. So it can be good to have extra coaches around also. Yeah, but on the advisor side as well, definitely. That's an interesting point in itself, actually, because the whole community actually advises potential advisors to each other. It's just we don't really have much profile on each community member. We do have some, and we have actually used it to schedule the community calls where somebody were invited to come and talk on a topic, and we actually used everybody's profile from the community platform to find out the experts or the thought leaders on different topics. So I think we can also develop that part so we better understand each other's profiles and use that to find somebody to advise us.
Excellent.
Yeah.
On our teams, we use buddy system as well, and it can cross over. Life happens. So if there's opportunity for someone to be on the inside and be able to follow up, it worked
Yeah.
very well.
I know. Definitely. Yeah, Iglino. Great. So let me take the next one here.
I love it.
Hi, Lucas.
Hi, Lucas.
He's here to ask for another game, but it's not game time right now.
Give me the game!
We're I don't know where the disruption is impacting on the street sign here in my home. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I just need to ask a few more questions, Lucas.
And then you give me the game.
Go call Alessandro. Call Alessandro, Lucas.
Oh,
Then you give me the game.
you can call Alessandro and have a chat with him.
Yeah.
If he's free right now.
I've been in Zoom the
He will
whole
be.
day waiting.
Oh, have you been in Zoom all day already? So have I.
My first round.
It's the planet pilots. It's just amazing. That's a whole different, exciting conversation. What our planet pilots are doing together after their quests is over. So, all right. I want to talk about. Is there anything else that has been difficult in the sprint? We have talked about several things, like the team formation has not been super easy, knowing how things work, where to find submitted assignments for review and these things. Is there anything else? Can you point out some pain points or some challenges that we could try to remove next time? You don't have to invent them, but if you feel any pain points, there are plenty of challenges already on the plate, but if there are more, I would love to know them. All right, you can always come back. Let me know if something comes to mind later on. I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, but by the way, Lars.
Yeah.
Well, my answers, I will send them to you. I'm writing a document, so
Okay.
I will have. I forgot about the chat thing, but maybe I can post it there or send you by email.
Whatever works best for you, Javier. I really appreciate feedback in any way.
Lars, how about a tour? How about a tour of a whole platform that introduces and reintroduces, even for those of us who've been a part of it, as it's developed and you're re-navigating? I mean, technology is constantly updating, but I think that would be a wonderful thing. And that's just one session, and then leave everyone with the time to navigate on their own, and then have a coach, available to answer any questions. But I think it should be the coaches that initiate the conversations to reach out from the community.
Yep. I like that. I like that a lot. Great input.
Lars?
Yes.
I have to go. I just want to really, really thank you for the whole thing. It's been a very enriching experience. And I'm probably going to miss the part of the call where you talk about what's next and how do we connect and integrate and grow, and what's there for all of us to, where do we take it next? So I'm very interested in that conversation, but I have to leave, unfortunately, for another call. So we'll catch up and look forward to continuing the conversations. It was so great to see everyone.
Thank you so much for everything.
Bye-bye, Jabin.
Bye-bye, Jabin.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
And I need to go as well, but I did want to extend an invitation to all of you and these sprints to Open EXO World, which will be in September, but we're starting to form the groups and conversations now so that we can keep things going and then launch on a whole new level in September.
Woohoo! Looking forward to it, MB. Thank you very much for the
And Jabine and I are together on team there.
I know, I'm sure. Yes, you should. Thank you very much, MB. See you
Thank you.
soon.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
Andy.
Bye, MB. I have to
Bye.
run as well. Yeah, it's hitting midnight. So
It
yeah.
is, Carmen. Thank you for coming and for your great input and your awesome help and everything. It's been so much fun. Let's
So
do
it's been a lot of fun, Lars. You can count me in next year for coach.
absolutely. You're on the list. Thank you,
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye, Carmen.
Bye, Carmen.
Bye, Cameron.
Bye.
Bye.
Excellent.
Bye. Bye.
So, key takeaways from this sprint, and it can be anything you have learned, anything that you just find important to bring with you into whatever you're doing next. What are your key takeaways? And it might be something you want to post in the chat or just talk about now. Any key takeaways from this sprint?
Hello, Lars, and hi, everybody.
Hey, Crystal.
Yeah, hello. So actually, for the key takeaways, for my own case, that like I experienced the two teams at the same time. So what I found out is more of the team formation, that if we can handle the team, if we have the same purpose and we have the right method, maybe the result will be better. If so for me, it's a team who can that can make the sprint success or not.
Thank you, Crystal. I totally agree. So
Thank you, Lars.
we'll definitely put some more structure and focus on the team formation before the sprint. That's very important. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, let me move into an easier one. This was a hard one, I think, or maybe we've been thinking a lot about the sprint now. What kind of other community activities would you like to see as part of Educate for Life? Would you like to run a sprint again, or do you recommend we run a sprint like this again in the future? And are there other types of activities that would make sense in Educate for Life that we run, that we facilitate, that we make happen?
Yeah, I could say that, well, taking the previous question, I already talked about it, so this is why I didn't bring it up. But my key takeaway is build the team first and then focus on the other things. Face the challenges as the moment they arise, in the team. And for this, what could help, there are a lot of team exercises, team dynamics that could be, there's a full page. I don't know, I don't remember if it was in Spanish or in English, but I will send it to you. Yep. Because there are some, there could be like a team day, like in some companies in which they forget about what they are doing and they just play,
They just play, yeah.
And that I don't know, it's something to experiment, but that could enhance a little things.
I like that. That would be great, Javi. You might even want to post it in our Mighty Network simply so everybody can be inspired and use it.
Sure.
I certainly want to receive it. Yes.
I will do so.
Great, thank you. So we could run some playful activities in Educate for Life. I like that. Anything else? Anything you see in other communities that you bring over here?
What comes to mind, it's I will come back to the given that you mentioned play, and when you started mentioning that team formation is important, it came to me Avi from Dream on X, who is part of our who is on Educate for Life since last year. Avi is he's not from the EXO world, but he's very much in between play and corporate world, and he has had the company Play to Transform. He started his Dream on X precisely with a big party for the ambassadors and partners and the community that he has formed. So he started by forming a community, but the way he prepared the structure as well, but the way he launched the whole process was by hosting an opening party. So maybe it is we have a person, Javi. I didn't have a pleasure to get to know you. I see that you are also probably a playful type if you've mentioned this idea. So so probably you have something in mind already as well. But yeah, maybe we can ask Avi as well to contribute and perhaps even launch something. He's experienced with this. So yeah, we have a connection here.
Absolutely, perfect. That fits right in. Great. Other thoughts before we move on? Should we run another sprint like this at some point?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and things will get much better, and I believe it was an overall very good experience, although we kind of suffered from some things in my case, but the overall experience was very very helpful. It made us grow. I've learned a lot, even though I didn't get to build a full initiative. I learned a lot of what things to prevent, what things to face, as I said, right in the moment they arise. That's a huge experience and a huge learning.
I think, and for everybody else, Ravi is very much coming from the coach perspective. I think I know many of your other activities are coaching related. So I'm sure it's great to experience a sprint from the inside as a participant as well.
Totally.
And that's a whole different experience. And that makes it super hard again to go through the sprint in that way.
Totally. It felt easier before getting into the sprint, and I was already a coach and I didn't know how to handle some things.
Yeah. We need to remember how hard it is to be the participant, actually. Yeah, it is hard work, and there are lots of ups and downs. Thank you, Ravi, for sharing that. That's great. All right. We do have other types of activities coming into Educate for Life. I didn't plan to really talk about it on this call. We'll have a whole separate call about what's next. But it does actually cover to support initiatives that are successfully coming through the sprint and where the team wants to move forward and actually implement it. We do want to be part of that journey onwards as well, and be supportive as a community in different ways. I was also mentioning the families that are joining a family community within Educate for Life. So that's also a new next step, and that will contain a whole set of new activities as well. And I'm sure that would be a great resource for for the different teams that continue to work on their initiatives and have access to families. So I look very much forward to that. That's something I'm very excited about. All right. We did touch very little, but we did touch on the model or the business model, if you like, around the sprint that we've been doing. And as I said, I'm very keen to keep making this a free sprint. It's a community activity, and I'd like to keep it that way. But one additional approach could be to also offer a paid sprint for those who find that to be of value. And I just want to get your thoughts on that. Is that relevant in your opinion for anyone? And what I mean by paid sprint is it could be for a business, a small business. It could be for a group of people who want a proper facilitation and coaching through the process like this, and actually also have professional advice and all of that, which are people who are being paid to support. And so that's where the money would flow, right? So would that be a relevant offering, you think, that we could offer? We would still have the free sprint if anybody wants to sign up to it. Sure, there will be, but in parallel, we could have a paid sprint as well. Any thoughts? Justina gave a thumbs up there.
I think that it's doable if that's the case in my country. Like if there's something as a product like that in the countries, I think it's doable, because like that's what I'm offering also right now. Like they are the startup or like the team who wants to start a business, so they pay, but normally they pay in like in shares. Like I see like it's kind of accelerator, and they later on, like after the coaching, they get 20% of the share of that startup. So that is what I know right now in Vietnam as a case. So I think it's gonna be experimentation, but like if that's the case in Vietnam, it works actually. Yeah.
If you bring on board, as you were saying, a team of coaches and experts that you can have access to, that would be recognizable by the paid customers, it's definitely of value. Then again, the idea that I was raising of having the possibility to choose your coaches, right? I can totally see it as a value that could drive interest.
Sounds good.
I'm not sure if, I don't know, I'm not, you might, if you have this question, you might have the how, but I'm finding hard to envision how could you at the same time give something for free and offer something paid. I don't know. That's my first impression, but it could work if you think so. I would love to see how, you know.
Well, the experiment would show us if
So
it's
it's
done, right?
marketed towards other type of customers, such as you said, businesses.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure.
Well,
I would, let's see.
actually, we have been running this kind of sprint as a paid sprint with 2 business schools already, and a third one very interested right now. But it was not as a community activity, right? It was a professional sprint, if you like, with dedicated coaches, advisor tickets, and the whole thing delivered just to that business school. Yeah. So it's
would
not,
that be
not the same.
would that be something edge for this Educate for Life, or do you want it to put it on top of the Educate for Life community as core, you know?
Well, it could be an opportunity for the community here to actually join as an advisor or as a coach in a paid sprint, when there are organizations who are willing to pay for it. So in that aspect, but we haven't done that combination before. So, but I'm considering what it can look like. Yeah.
What I think is that you have now a sprint. You're attracting people, and I'm sure that, well, that you could tap the community could tap into potential investors for week 10, so
Yeah.
that even teams had that motivation. There's somebody in with the intention to see disruptive initiatives and want to put money on them,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
That could motivate the teams a little more.
One place where I really see value in having, for example, a business school or some other professional organization, they're paying for a sprint, and what they can get out of this, they can get the coaching, they can get advisors who are interested in the future of education, because that's what we all are. But they could also get the sprint participants, they could get the team members, so they would mostly sponsor the team and maybe have a team leader or team participants, but they would actually they would grow a team with our members here from this community, members who are interested in that. And actually, these participants can even get paid for being in a sprint team in that way. Because as I said, I've been running a 10-week sprint with two different business schools, one in Colombia and one in Thailand. And they both had the problem, they really couldn't find team members in their own organization that were interested in looking into the future and doing something like this. They were happy with their current jobs and all that, but the institution itself wanted to run the sprint, and they did, but they couldn't recruit the sprint participants to actually build the initiatives. People wanted to go back to their old jobs, but we could maybe find sprint participants in this community that would be interested in new initiatives and want to be part of that. And it's just a hypothesis, right? It's just an idea at this stage.
It makes perfect sense.
Lars, actually here the same problem with like the company who wants to do the sprint. I get like all of the clients that I have, they all have the same trouble. The same problem of not being able to get to form a team.
All right, maybe all of you will soon be professional sprint participants. Let's see. Okay, yeah, great.
Hey, and it's MB. I'm in my car now, so I that's exactly what happened for opening day as well.
Yeah.
But part of the initiative, and I definitely going to be a professional sprinter with Educate for Life and EXO, because it's definitely the way to go. There may be ways that we can alter it slightly for the creatives who think differently. But it's very exciting. I've been looking for those who work in operations systems and that are perfectly in alignment with who we are in the arts, but outside of the arts, to come together in these initiatives. And this has been a beautiful start, and looking forward to continuing this with the Alliance group and at EXO Canada and the other countries in what's important to them. So yeah, I missed a little bit in there, but I just wanted to jump in again and let you know that I've got a few more minutes here.
Okay, thank you, and drive safely. Mostly. So, okay. I just have one final thing really on the agenda for today, but I'm open to hear questions or thoughts or comments, of course, from you. But my last thing is really, I would love to ask for a testimonial from those of you who are willing to write a testimonial, and we can use that when we promote our next free community sprint. We want to attract people from around the world who would be interested in what we are doing and who would be interested in doing it with us. And it does help to actually have some testimonials. It's definitely optional, but if any of you would like to write a testimonial, I'd appreciate it a lot. So you can send it anytime that works for you. With thanks and gratitude.
When some of these things are updated, Lars, with a tour or a sort of an update, little 2-minute piece on who Educate for Life is and how it works and how we navigate sort of the old systems into the new ways, and then I'm happy to pass that on, and I'm happy to speak more to what's happening. So for me right now, it still feels like it's a little bit in the development stages. I don't really fully understand Planet Pilots and where things are at to be able to share in a concise way what's happening there and how people can participate. So once we have those little marketing pieces, it's like a press kit.
Yep.
And then I'm completely and fully with you.
Cool. It makes perfect sense. Have a bit of an introduction package. Yeah. Great. Thank you. That's great. That's a great action for me. Crystal?
Yes, for the testimonial, I'm very willing to to make that. It like Educate for Life is wonderful, and it was a great experience, and it's gonna be very helpful for the whole world. So yes, for my case, but I've never done that. So if you have kind of the the format or something like that, that is similar, that I can base on that, or I can just Google. Or yeah, I'll see it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Crystal. Yeah. Thank you, and thank you for your help on arranging sessions and all of that.
That's my pleasure. I just have just little support compared to all of your effort. That is wonderful. Thank you, Lars.
If you were to write what inspires you, what motivates you by this community, you'll find that little piece that Lars is looking for.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, MB.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And Lars, I've been chatting up Educate for Life everywhere for you. There are quite a few of the community, the various communities I'm in. They want to know, once this structure is more in place and easy for them to navigate and fit into, they would love to be a part of it. And definitely from the arts point of view, to have that scholarship, or what it is that you were just talking about, that structure to be able to pay someone to even just a token, something to come in and participate in and experience and contribute, I think is a beautiful gesture and will make a big difference.
Definitely. I was just attending a virtual table event by actually Kim Aratzi, who's part of our community and a coach as well. She was one of the organizers. It's on donation basis. So you can actually join for free if you want, but if they ask, they encourage you to donate some money, and that money actually goes to, for example, a musical performer, a musician, or that joins the event and plays or gives a certain performance, and that person would then get the whole donation, but the event itself is free. And I kind of like that model also, and I felt like, hey, it makes perfect sense to donate an amount. So that could be one way of doing it.
That's lovely. Setting up some kind of fund to make it possible for everybody to be there, though.
Yeah.
The core team, because they're all contributing their expertise, and that's it's just so important. Do you know Moses Neimer at Idea City?
I don't think so.
It's like the TEDx talks, but like he started it before that. And it's very similar. So he has the various talks that are very inspiring. You're going to find a lot of the people who you'd like to have a part of this community there. But to speak to Moses' events, there's a high price ticket, but there's also scholarships and other things. But the one thing he doesn't do is he doesn't pay the performers to come in. He said, go ahead, find Royal Bank, find the other support. And one of the things we want to do at EXO World and would love to see here too is that fund by sponsors, by Royal Bank of Canada and the others who are inspired by this, and to help fund each of these sprints. So that's what I'm hoping to get set up. So that it will feed over into Educate for Life, but from the EXO World Canada. So if we can find a way of navigating that together, I would dearly love your input and insights.
Yeah, it would be very interesting to explore that. So happy to discuss that further. All right. That's really what I was hoping to accomplish together in this call. It's been very, very helpful for me to get all this feedback, have these discussions and ideas that we've been discussing for next time we're doing a sprint. So is there anything else anybody wants to bring up before we wrap up?
What I didn't get to say before, and that was thank you so much. I'm very excited to be a part of all of this in its development, and greatly appreciate the community in a way that really fills a void for me in all of the challenges that I have to deal with as we navigate ourselves at opening day. So thank you so much, Lars, and everyone else.
Thank you so much for the words. Thank you.
Yeah. Now we don't have to forget that we have to be thankful. I'm very thankful for the opportunity, Lars. I'm very thankful for the coaches, their time, the participants to collaborate, but especially I'm very thankful for you to put all this together and give us the opportunity to live these experiences. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Javi, for being through the ups and downs with us and learning together. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, for sure. There's a lot more to come. Excellent. Klaus, thank you also for your support. There's been several calls and updates from your side also, and you've been a disruptor. And that's been great, and I look forward to an update soon again from the new Skill Up team and from you, and so that could maybe be a separate community session that could come up soon. All right, so let's wrap. Thank you all. I'm going, of course, to share the recording here and analyze it carefully and plan the next steps for this. for the community and for the next sprint. Looking forward to all of it. So thank you, everybody. Stay
Thank
safe.
you so much,
everybody.
Lars.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, Coco. Bye.